Well, hello there and welcome to my workshop. Now in this series I'm building the iconic Telecaster out of scraps of wood and bits and pieces that I found around the workshop. I'm using an old scaffolding board for the body, an old windowsill for the neck. I found some galvanised steel which I think will make a great bridge, and some odd bits of metal that will make saddles. This is going to be an exciting project, so I do hope you'll join me. Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and it's episode 6 of my Scrappy Caster. Yeah, I think we need to call it that now. My Scrappy Caster build. And well, this morning I got up early to go out and paint the shed, which is why I've got all my kit on. And it's just started raining. So there's a good chance all the paint's going to be on the floor. Never mind. It gives me an opportunity to put my painting clothes on because I've been tipped off that the wood that I'm using on the neck of this guitar may be a bit of an irritant. Now I can't remember the name of the wood, so I'll put it in, I'll write it down somewhere. But I've got long sleeves on, I'm going to put my hat on, put a mask on, and I'm going to shape this neck. Now I'm not too fussy with the shape of my necks. I'm not really interested whether it's a D or C or a V shape or whatever, just something that's comfortable. But I do need to mark out where this body's going to appear, and just put some marks just to help me shape it at this end and at this end, and I'll keep it simple. Well, I've filmed this process many times before in all my past videos, and there's plenty to go back and have a look at. So I'm not going to film all this all the way through. Just want to tell you what I'm going to use. I'm going to use the Shinto Raft saw to do most of the work. Then I'll do the rest with some sandpaper on these various shaped blocks, square blocks and rounded blocks. And then I'll probably finish off with the orbital sander, and well, hopefully we'll have done it by then. Anyway, I'm going to come back to you in a bit once it's done. Right then, well, I've let the dust settle, and this looks really nice. I've sanded it right down to 240 grit, so that looks really smart. So I've got paint all over my fingers, excuse me. Yeah. So that's looking really nice. I do like this wood. Look at that. Lovely grain there. Smashing. Okay, so the next thing to do is fix the neck onto the body. And I've got my 7-step process for doing that. So, first things first. Mark the position of the bolt on the body. Do that with the neck template. Just stick it all through there and mark it. Magic. Now drill a 2mm pilot hole. Right, now step 3, I need to fit the neck and compress it, so get it in as tight as I can close to the body. I'm doing that with this vice. Right, now I make a mark on the neck itself. For step 4, I'm back to the body, and I need to create an indent for the bolt to go into, and I do that with a 20mm Forstner bit, just like that. Now I drill a 9mm hole in the centre of that indent. So let's go for it. And finally, I need a 10mm hole in the neck, and this is where the insert will go. I'm using a Forstner bit to do that hole. Now I can fit the insert. I have just countersunk the edge of the top there, just to sink this in a little bit further. This is where I need to get it in straight. And we have the neck on the guitar. Actually feels quite light. It's quite nice. Yeah, I can really feel getting into this. Okay, now then, what we're going to do now? I think it's time to fit the dots on the fretboard, and I've decided I'm going to use these rosewood dots, which I'm cutting out of a piece of old fretboard using a plug cutter. And I think they're going to look quite nice in contrast with the lighter wood there. So there are all the dots. Just need to tidy them up with a bit of sandpaper, drill some holes and bang them in. The dots are in. I need those to cure, and then I'll just sand them flat with the top of the fretboard there. Now I'll just spend a little bit of time marking out where all these pickups are going to go. The centre line has veered off by a couple of millimetres just there once I've put the neck in, but that's not a problem. I've lined everything up now. I've drilled a few holes just so I know where the pickups are going to go, and I think now I need to route the body. I've actually drawn round all these shapes so I know where I shouldn't go. All I need to do is route the slots for the pickups and for the controls. Now, as far as the controls go, I'm going to do it slightly different to this photo. Here you've got two of the volume, presumably the volume and tone, and then you've got the pickup selector switch. Now, I don't like putting a pickup selector switch there because I think you knock it when you play. So I'm going to do it this way round. And yes, I'm using a Les Paul selector switch. But unfortunately I don't have a slider switch, and this is a use what you've got or scrap build. So it'll just have to do. But I think that will look quite good. Got these old knobs that I had on I used to create like my own pedals and stuff, and well, these were the knobs from those. The days of Maplin Electronics. Gosh, those are good old days. Well, I've done a bit of scratching around. I managed to come up with a switch, even though the switch I intended to use originally just broke. So that was a really old thing. I did have a new one, so that's quite nice. So that's that done. These pots, I've no idea where they came from. Some old guitar, but hopefully they'll do. I'll probably have to clean them up a bit. Hopefully they're not too noisy. Right, so that little panel is ready to go. I've just got to route the slot, and of course you can see that these pots just about the same width as the panel, so it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sure we can sort something out. Before I start routing big holes in the body, I think I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, because this is serious stuff. Right, I'm back after a cup of tea, and I'm going to tackle this plate first. I'm going to use a Forstner bit to drill some holes in it and then join them up, and I'm hoping that's going to be good enough. This is really soft wood, so I should just be able to chisel out the bits that I need to. Now, well, the good news is they fit. The bad news is I can see gaps underneath there, so I need just to make this a little bit wider. I don't think I'm going to get away with that. Yeah, you can see underneath it. Okay. Although he stops and thinks, I've got an idea for this top. In actual fact, not my idea. My design consultant, Carolyn, came up with the idea. Because one of the many elephants in the room with this project is this plate, which, you know, I'm rather proud of, but it really just clashes with the wood that's behind it. It just doesn't do anything whatsoever. So Carolyn came up with an idea, and that is to use a dark stain on the wood of the body, something like this. And now this is a mixture of a water-based black with a spirit-based brown. I rather like the effect, especially if it's sanded down a bit. So that's going to mean that this goes darker but still has the grain coming through, which would hide the fact that you can just see a little gap there, which is the hole. And I think, do you know what, I think that that might do the job, because it's I don't really want a bigger plate here. I think that really looks quite nice. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it, because let's hope it comes right at the end, eh? Right, onto the pickups. Now then, it's all going to be a bit rough and ready, but that's the way I'm working with this. A ruler. I'm going to draw a centre line through there. So those two holes represent what will be the end of the cap, the top. So I'm going to have to route out a shape that's going to be around this sort of size. I think that probably will do it. I had to do some repairs to these pickups because they're old pickups, and unfortunately I dropped this one yesterday and broke the end off, so I've had to glue it, and I've glued a couple of nails in there to hold it, so I think it's going to be all right. But oh, just one of those things. If you're new to guitar building, this is not the way you do it. Use a routing template, but yeah, I'm winging this one. Right, so now I have the rough area where it needs to go. I think a couple of Forstner bits there and there, there and there, and then just finish off the rest with the router. Right then, well, there's a good afternoon's routing and drilling. Everything is connected all the way through to the jack socket hole there, which is a good sign. And well, got a slight problem in so much as the hole for the pickup needed to be wider than my bridge plate here, and that's because I'm using a strap middle pickup for the bridge. This is a scrappy caster after all, but don't worry, I've got an idea. I'm going to put something under the bridge which will cover that and give the bridge some sort of an outline. Otherwise, well, I think now I've got to cut the slots in here and in the scratch plate. Now I'm just wondering if I can use my step drill to make the hole on the ends of this slot here. I'm going to give it a go. Take it slow, as they say. Right, let's see what happens. Well, that was a crazy afternoon's piece of work. I'm not sure how much of this footage is going to make it into the edit, but I have cut the slots for those two pickups. I have routed the body for the control panel and the pickups, and I've put the dots in on the fretboard, and I've drilled the hole for the jack socket. So I've made quite a bit of progress. Yeah, still a lot to do. So I hope you'll join me. And, well, I'll see you next time. Hey, don't forget to leave a comment and click subscribe. Cheers.